barring those people that just have something, that's wrong with them physically, right? Anyone can become proficient at selling. What I always say is like, listen, I'm not going to turn you into me. I'm not saying I'm going to make you as good as me, but I can make it so that you're good enough that your inability to communicate will not be what holds you back. You can always get good enough at selling so you can remove that from the equation of why you're not succeeding in life. There's so many people that don't succeed, that struggle with making money or just getting what they want because they're terrible communicators. They don't know how to close in any aspect of their life. So they go through life just in a very disempowered way. The straight lines like manna from heaven to those people. It literally helps anybody become an effective communicator. I'm not saying, listen, I love tennis, right? I've had times where I play 3 hours a day and I play with the best players in the world, all right? And I've gotten really, really great. But I'm never going to be Roger Federer. Never. No matter how hard I try, no matter how many hours I play, it's not genetically programmed in me. I'm not that talented, but I can get good enough so I can beat most average players and certainly have a lot of fun with it. Well, selling is the same thing as is playing the piano. You can always get good enough at most things so you can make it so, okay, if I'm not succeeding, it's not because I can't close. I mean, I'm good enough at that. I suck at something else. So that's the goal.
And the business environment is so much more expansive than the sporting arena where it's like a very limited competition and the best is obviously the best, right? But in the sales business, it's
that's the thing. In the world of sales, it's not like first place is a brand new Cadillac Eldorado. Second place, a set of steak knives. Third place, you're fired. There's a lot of room for mediocre salespeople.
So then, like if you're looking to hire some awesome salespeople as part of your sales team, what do you look for? What are some of the things where, there's going to be, 1,000 applications, 100 applications, and now you have to start sifting and now you have to start to find out or to create your team. So what are the characteristics of the people that you want to hire?
So we give everybody a psychometric test to start. That's just a screening mechanism. It's called the JBSCI. It's really something I developed that actually gets down to someone's sales data. And it's very predictive, but it's only one thing we do. The next thing is I look for things in certain red flags for more people that have been in the workplace. Someone's been in the workplace for 10 years. What I really want to see is how often they're changing jobs. The biggest red flag in a salesperson is they're at a new job every 3 months. Those people are all like these chronic sort of, malcontents. They're never happy. The grass is always greener and they go from place to place to place to place. They never stay anywhere very long. And I think the biggest mistake that people make is they will get a resume and they'll never check the resume. They never verify. Like you got to verify what someone reps. Like if someone says I worked at this place for 7 years and I was a top producer, or I worked these 2 places over the last 8 years, call them, find out what really happened. You'll be shocked that most people are somewhat dishonest on their resumes. So check the resumes. I think that if anything sticks out, it's turnover, that they don't stay in one spot. Mm-hmm. Find someone that stays in one spot. I can train them to sound great.
And so is there anything then in the interview after that, those parts have been confirmed, is there any characteristics? Is there any personality traits? Is there anything which you look for that's going to be like, all right, this person probably will perform a little bit better than the average because of these reasons?
Again, depending on what you're selling, sometimes,
for these larger deals, let's say, say for example,
someone's got a great face for the telephone. Like sometimes it's that, right? Like, are you selling face to face? Is it door to door? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it in person? Yeah. So depending on what that is, a certain body types and sometimes do better. Sometimes women do better. Sometimes men do better. Yeah. So there are realities that based on the industry that you're in and how you're selling, there are certain natural advantages that people, if you're going into an office and you're trying to sell a certain product that's health-related and you're physically attractive in great shape, that person has a natural edge over someone that's 40 pounds morbidly obese, slovenly and disheveled. That's not, so there's obviously things like that.
Yeah.
But the other side of that coin is that people are so full of shit when they interview you, like people like a professional interviewers, like everyone's taking like the little do this, don't do that. So it's like, it's so easy for someone to snow you in an interview. It really is. So for me, I always make like all my hires are conditional for the first 30 days. You got to prove yourself over those first 30 days or you're out. Because as good as I am at detecting bullshit, people are professionals at this now because, and nowadays a lot of the information is online. How do you prepare? And they're all prepared for the interviews to tell you exactly what you want to hear. But the truth always comes out very quickly in the first 30 days. I'll give you a better one is that, the biggest mistake is not so much about hiring the wrong people or the right people. Of course, you want to hire the right people. It's what do you do with them after you hire them? Companies fail miserably with the onboarding experience. They don't have a good onboarding for new salespeople. There's no training. There's no mentorship, and people fall through the cracks. That's the bigger miss in the world of sales.
And so what do you think are the most important things to get right in those first 3 months of a new hire?
Well, number one is of course, is training is the most absolutely.
Training which part? Like which part are you training?
Skills training, knowledge training. In other words, people don't know. Listen, I'm a believer that if you're selling a high ticket item and there's things you need to know, well, that's homework. You better know that shit. I'm not here to give you classes. You better learn that in your own time if you want to work for me, right? Or succeed in sales. But then there's the whole sales training and drilling and role playing. Role playing is the most important thing for salespeople. So, you want to, it's like the Navy SEALs, train hard, fight easy. So, you want to get people really, really trained up, and then they tend to succeed dramatically. If you just put them in, say, sink or swim, that doesn't work well.
Okay. And so, let's jump to leading sales teams now. Now, like if you're a sales leader, what are the most important things to get right to ensure that the sales team is a high performance sales team?
Well, again, there's no one thing. It's everything from, initially hiring the right people to having the right compensation structure in place. You want a compensation structure that promotes excellence, that doesn't let people rest on their laurels. Like I've seen a lot in Australia where, I walked in some companies and like there's like these legacy plans in place where someone started working, they closed 5 big accounts and they just coasting with their feet up in the air, and they're just, it's easy for them because their compensation program didn't require them to continue opening up new accounts. That's a huge problem. That's one thing. So I want to make sure the compensation team. Number two, I want to set up bonus structures and commission. I want most of my stuff to be commission based. I'll give base salaries, but I want that to be incentives that are tied to continued productivity. It's a huge thing. 3 is frequent training, meetings, motivation, training daily or at least weekly, and, repeating themes to people. And then next is actually leadership on like granular, like, how are people being mentored? The biggest, I'll tell you, the biggest miss here is that when companies start new salespeople, they don't invest enough time and money in their training in the very beginning to make sure they are even like understanding of what the product they're selling is. They understand how to close it, and they have some sort of mentorship system with experienced salespeople that groom them and take them through their first sales. That's such a huge thing for companies. And
so how important is script writing?
So scripting is obviously crucial, but that I lump into the the whole training at.
Okay.
When I talk about training and role playing, what I'm saying is that that's what you're like in the absence of scripts. What typically happens is people just say stupid shit. Salespeople will inadvertently say things, even if they don't mean to be unethical or don't mean to say something stupid. They run out of smart things to say pretty quickly, and they start saying stupid shit. So the idea with scripts is that you're really scripting out the entire sale from front to back, knowing that in some cases it's just serving as a guide, but it actually is allowing the sale to go on for as long as necessary while giving someone intelligent things to say. That's really what you're training them on, is scripts, language patterns, how to overcome objections, because those things are all scripted out. It's a crucial part of it.
Okay. And like the final part on the sales process is around metrics. What are some of the metrics that you track a sales team on, aside from sales, obviously?
So I think rather than saying what I track, because every company has the different KPIs and things that really matter, the biggest mistake people make is they track too much. Like you have these platforms like salesforce.com, and they'll like give you the most granular data. And what happens, it's almost death by information. You have too much information to make sense of the information. There's some very basic things that you need to know. Like, you have to have each key step in your sales process and what the conversion rates are, what the fall off rates are. And so it's like not one, it's a pipeline. I have these key things I track every single day. And then it's about tracking them and actually looking at them and comparing data, not just people like they have great systems in place and don't even utilize, they don't interpret the data. So it's as much about data interpretation as what you track. So you can track everything if you don't ever act on it. And that's, by the way, 95% of the companies don't even act on the data they collect, and they collect way too much. So, it's about identifying what the key steps are in your sales process. How many calls are there? What's the funnel look like? And then keeping track of each step and seeing what the ratios are.